If you own a home in California, there is one law that has been quietly protecting your wallet for almost 50 years. And right now, in November 2026, you are going to be asked whether you want to keep it. Hello, my name is Owen Schwaegerle. I'm a third-generation real estate broker in California, and my wife and I own the Schwaegerle real estate team on the Central Coast. I want to make sure you actually understand what Prop 13 is, where it came from, and why it matters so much, and why the longer you own property in California, the more powerful it becomes. So let's get into it. All right. Prop 13 is a California constitutional amendment that was passed by voters back in 1978. And when I say passed, I mean it wasn't even close. California voters approved it by nearly 2-1. So what does it actually do? Two things, mostly. Number one, it caps your property tax rate at 1% of the assessed value of your home. Number two, and this is the big one, it limits how much your assessed value can increase each year. Specifically, it cannot go up more than 2% per year, regardless of what the market does. Think about what that means in a place like the Central Coast. Home values here have gone up dramatically over the past decade. If your property tax bill tracked the actual market value of your home every single year, a lot of long-time homeowners, a lot of seniors, a lot of families would be taxed right out of their homes. Prop 13 is the wall that prevents that from happening. To understand why Prop 13 exists, you have to understand what California looked like in the 1970s. Property values were rising fast, and property tax bills were rising right alongside with it. There was no limit. People who had owned their homes for decades were suddenly getting hit with tax bills they could not afford. Seniors were being forced to sell homes they had lived in for 30 or 40 years, not because they wanted to sell, because the government kept reassessing their home at higher and higher values, and the taxes just kept climbing. In June of 1978, California voters said enough is enough. Prop 13 passed with 65% of the vote. It was a taxpayer revolt, and it completely changed how property taxes worked in this state. When you buy a home in California, your assessed value is set at your purchase price. From that point forward, it can only increase by a maximum of 2% per year. So you can actually plan ahead. You know roughly what your property taxes will look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and so on. That kind of certainty is almost unheard of in the rest of the country. In states without Prop 13 style protections, your property taxes can spike 20, 30, even 40% in a single year. I've talked to people who moved here from Texas, Florida, from the Pacific Northwest, and they are often shocked at how stable and predictable property taxes are here compared to where they came from. Prop 13 is a huge part of why that is true. And this is something that we really need to think about. And this is where it gets really interesting, especially if you are thinking about buying and holding real estate in California. The Prop 13 benefit compounds over time. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, let's say you buy a home today for $750,000. Your assessed value starts at $750,000. Year one, it can go up 2%, so $765,000. Year two, another 2%, so $780,000. Meanwhile, the actual market of your home might be at $900,000 or $1 million, but your taxable assessed value is still lagging far behind. So the longer you own, the bigger that gap gets between your assessed value and the market value, and that gap is money in your pocket every single year. We have clients who bought in SLO County 15 or 20 years ago, and their homes have tripled in value, but their property tax bills, they have barely moved. That is the Prop 13 compounding effect. And it is one of the most underrated reasons to buy and hold real estate in California. Every year you own, that protection gets stronger. Every year you wait to buy, you are starting that clock later. This is one of the reasons we are such believers in getting into the market sooner rather than later, even if conditions are not perfect. Because time in the market in California is not just about appreciation. It is about locking in a tax base that works more and more in your favor with each passing year. Here's the part I really want you to pay attention to, because Prop 13 has been under attack almost since the day it passed. Over the decades, courts have created loopholes that allow local governments to raise taxes in ways that go directly against the spirit of Prop 13. Specifically, cities and counties have figured out that if a tax measure is put on the ballot by a citizen initiative rather than by the government itself, it can sometimes pass with just a simple majority vote instead of the 2/3 majority Prop 13 was designed to require. That loophole has cost California taxpayers billions of dollars. And there is another threat sitting on the November 2026 ballot too, a measure called ACA 13, put there by the state legislature. And it would make it harder to pass future voter protections for taxpayers like Prop 13. It would essentially raise the bar for any initiative that tries to require a higher vote threshold for taxes. In other words, it would make it easier for the government to raise your taxes going forward and harder for voters to stop them. The good news is that California voters have a chance to fight back. The Local Taxpayer Protection Act, also known as the Save Prop 13 initiative, has officially qualified for the November 2026 ballot. This is a big deal. The campaign collected over 1.35 million signatures to get it there. And if voters approve it, here's what it does. First, it closes the loophole that has allowed special purpose local taxes to pass with a simple majority. Under this measure, those taxes would require 2/3 voter approval, which is what Prop 13 intended from the beginning. Second, it prohibits new real estate transfer taxes, which function basically like a sales tax on your home every time it sells. Cities like Los Angeles have already passed versions of these taxes, and they drive up the cost of buying and selling for everyone. Third, it repeals existing real estate transfer taxes, including Measure ULA in Los Angeles by the end of 2028. This is not a partisan issue. Prop 13 protects renters, homeowners, seniors, small businesses, and first-time buyers. Anyone who owns or wants to own property in California has a direct stake in this. So let me bring this home for you. If you own property in California right now, Prop 13 is quietly working for you every single day. Every year you have owned, that protection has grown. And if you are still on the fence about buying, this is one more reason why getting in sooner matters. You're not just buying a home or an investment property, you are locking in a tax base that California law protects from growing faster than 2% a year. That is a gift that compounds for as long as you own it. And in November 2026, you have a vote to protect it. The Save Prop 13 initiative is on the ballot. Vote yes. Whether you are a longtime homeowner, a first-time buyer, or someone who is just starting to think about what owning property in California could mean for your financial future, this is one of those topics where being informed is everything. If you have questions about Prop 13 and want to know how it affects you or your situation specifically, whether you are thinking about buying, selling, or just trying to understand your property tax bill, that is exactly what we are here for. Drop your questions in the comments below or reach out to us directly. The links are all below. And if this was helpful, please share it with someone who owns a home in California. They need to see this before November. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and please like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.